What a bitch. There I am. The engineer running the show this morning is a jackass and wasn't obviously prepared for the show. So I will have to have words with him myself later. Good morning, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope you sinned safely, got lots of blaspheming done. I had a blaspheming full weekend. It was fun. It was fun. We're going to talk about some stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about how Christianity likes to try to hijack morality, claim morality for its own. And of course, we know better. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Oh, son of a bitch. Go back to the main page. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Let's try this one. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Are you feeling the world is leaving you behind? Do you look at all the pseudoscience, rumors, and wild speculation on the internet and wonder, why can't I do that? Well, friend, you can. We can help you. We are Conspirowin. Conspirowin has a long history of helping anyone with a hidden truth. We will get your message out. The conspiracy theories you see today all started out with one person's vision. The moon landing hoax was launched by a NASA engineer whose manager didn't okay his vacation request. Conspirowin was there to help out. Christianity started out because one little girl named Mary got pregnant out of wedlock, and Conspirowin saved the day. Now, the virgin birth is accepted Catholic doctrine. You may be thinking, but my idea of the center of the earth being made of ice is far-fetched. No one's going to believe that. In a world where people believe windmills cause cancer, we say no dream is too big. Conspirowin will take your fledgling idea and feed it to our YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok operatives. And these savvy social media professionals will raise doubts with the prevailing scientific consensus. They will say no one has ever seen the planet's core except Jesus. And science is wrong all the time. That's why science has theories and not Jesus. Within 30 days, we guarantee you CNN will run a story on how your conspiracy theory isn't true. We will also give you 100% assurance Fox News will say your crazy idea about the Earth's core being an icy ball is true. Follow your heart. Listen to the voices no one else can hear. Team up with Conspirowin.
All right, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Aaron. Miss Non Sequitur. I got your message. Actually, I saw your thing on the Discord, but I'm very bad about Discord. But I did read it, and I was thinking, I've thought about in the past taking previous shows, and running those on Saturday and Sunday. So my amazing Super Chris addicted friends would have something to watch. Of course, you could always just go back and watch something, but I just thought maybe if I did a rerun, at least you'd have a live chat there that people could chat to and talk to. Just a thought, on Saturdays and Sundays for funsies. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Zorkroz is here. Big Zebra. Good morning, bigzebra.com. El Cars. I love El Cars. This one. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Did you finally reach 20? Are you finally 20? Interesting. Good morning. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Miss Non Sequitur, yeah, the chat is kind of fun. It wouldn't take a lot of effort for me to set that up to where, at least people will be able to talk about stuff. Big Zebra or Zyle says there's a horizontal stream. Yes, there's a horizontal stream. Oh, yeah, Big Zebra. Yeah, there's a horizontal and a vertical. If you go to the channel, you can click on either one of them. Yep. Awesome. I was really surprised by how many viewers the vertical stream gets. Lots of viewers. Apparently, it's a thing. Let's see here. Ooh, close. Oh, I see. So good morning, everyone. Let's see. Hi, Viraman. Hello, fellow heathens. Nice to have you with us. Nice go to you out there. Good morning. I want to, you guys have actually, you've heard Christians come in here and, at least, I don't know about in here if you're new, but the whole Christian shtick that, the modern Western world got their morals from Christianity. Show of hands, anybody heard that lame kind of thing? Apparently from people who've never heard of like Hammurabi or the Egyptian code of whatever, or all those other things that came before Jesus that also taught, like the golden rule. The whole notion that Jesus is the only one that taught the golden rule, he was actually kind of late in that department, really, to be fair. Let me see if I can find some examples here. I have some. I did have some. But you know me and my damn notes. Oh, maybe I should just search my notes. Oh, that's not my notes. That's something else. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, you know how Christians tend to do that. They love to claim that somehow Jesus brought morality, or a sense of morality we're built on. I don't know. You know, whenever they try to bring in the Old Testament, or they can't really, but you know, the Ten Commandments and all this business, the Bible is the best way to live your life. You get your best morals from there. It's just really kind of amazes me that these people can go through this world with so many other different religions, lack of religions, cultures, and see people living a normal society, living in normal societies, various places without Jesus. And they still think this. It's kind of a surprise that people would be this. You really think that, you know? And then there's the ones that, well, they think that Jesus, even though man may not worship Jesus or God creature puts a basic set of morality into mankind. And so they try to claim that way you have a basic set of morals that keeps you from doing good and bad things. Even though you didn't get them directly from Jesus in the Bible, you still have a basic set that God gave you to. So I don't buy it either myself. Biblical morals, Exodus 21:20 allows beating slaves if they survive a day or two. You know, hey, Dale, good morning. That's a good one. I want to mention, as far as the beating slaves, there's a scripture, in fact, where Jesus actually tells you if it's a slave who knew he was doing wrong, beat him a lot. If the slave didn't know he was doing wrong, but still did wrong, beat him with fewer blows. Jesus condoning slavery and beating of innocent slaves, Jesus Christ. Let me see if I can find that scripture for you. Good morning, Kelly Laughlin. Thank you for joining us. Let me go here. With my damn chair. Jesus beat. Let's see if my thing. Ooh. Here we go. Oh, yeah. For you Christians who are doubters, the doubters of the area, the era. Let's see. Luke, Matthew 10, 34 through 36. No, it's the wrong one, son of a bitch. Why is my notes like this? This is not. Oh, I see what's going on. That's bad, Chris. Search for the wrong things. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Why is it so hard to get here? Let me try it like this. Beat slave. I know Jesus tells you to beat your slaves nicely and harshly. Godly slave master, that's not it. Luke chapter 12. All right, here we go. Luke chapter 12, in case you're curious. Jesus says, the servant who knows the master's will and does not get ready or does not do what the master wants. Now, it says here in servant, but this is just the modern cleaned up version. In the original Greek, it said doulos for slave. So Jesus was literally talking about slaves. I'll reread it there for you. The slave who knows the master's will and does not get ready or does not do what the master wants will be beaten with many blows. Jesus condoning violence against slaves. Luke 12, verse 47. Now, verse 48 goes on, but the one who does not know and does things deserving punishment will be beaten with fewer blows. That's Jesus Christ telling you from his own mouth to beat innocent slaves. Where's forgiveness? Where's peace? Where's love? Where's turning the other cheek? Where's any of that business? No. You got to beat your slaves, even the innocent one, the unknowing one. But fewer blows, but still. Jesus. It is obviously Yahweh endorses slavery because the priests were allowed to own slaves. The priests had to be pure to go. You know, there's so many reasons why Yahweh actually condones slaves. Good morning, Fresh from Florida. I want to mention that in the Old Testament, God gives his people into slavery several times. Go look for it. Just search it up. God gives his people into slavery. The people pissed him off, so he gave them into slavery into the Amalekites for 40 years. He does that several times. And then on top of that, he teaches the people in the Old Testament how to manage your slaves, how much to charge your slaves, how often to beat your slaves, or all that business. There's instructions in where God not only enslaves his people to other people, but he also gives his people instructions on how to manage their own slaves. Then Jesus in the New Testament says, slaves, obey your masters. And also, as just mentioned, to beat your slaves. So I want to mention, I want to say thank you. I got a pup cup from somebody the other day. Let me see if I can find it here. I do want to say shout out, thank you for the pup cups, if I can. Pup cup. I get a lot of mail. And then which mail would it be in? It would be in the Damn Show mail? I don't know. But I did get a pup cup from somebody. Somebody. Let me go here, just searching here. I'm just useless. I am. There we go. Search already. Don't ask me stupid questions. 524. Nope, that's not it. Anyway, I got a pup cup from somebody. Damage myself. And I want to thank you to the person who got the pup cup. I'll find it. I wasn't prepared actually to read it, obviously. Hell, I wasn't even prepared to be on stream. I was just kind of, buy me a coffee. There it is. Oh, that's not it. It's a jerk. I don't know why my mail does that. Do any of you guys have that mail that kind of folds into itself and you can't, you tell it, don't fold into itself, you're a useless piece of shit, and it still folds into itself? I hate that mail. Anyway, so there is that. So there is you now, for those of you who were curious about Jesus telling you to beat your slaves, there it is, Jesus telling you to beat your slaves. Yeah. Close this out. How many dogs do you have? I got 5, not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but 5 dogs. Hey, Godless Scummer, it's been a day or 3. Nice to see you. Woken Stoke, good morning. Yeah, we have 5 dogs. Let's see. UFO Slime Fan, are you communists or what? In all caps. No. Do you know what a communist is? Could you define a communist? Could you put the definition of communist in the chat here for me, please? UFO Slime Pan. Now, maybe a socialist, you might get a little closer than a socialist. Yeah, socialist. But then you are too if you like the police and the fire department and shit like that. So anyway, so good morning. Good morning, Chrissy. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Dear Howie, he was referring to the relationship between God and believers. Dear Howie, that doesn't make it any better. It really doesn't. It actually condones it. It's using slavery as a plus, as a bonus on a fucking God level. Saying he was referring to the relationship between the two is not the flex you think it is. If you're a believer, I'm sorry, I don't know really much about you yet, but I'm just saying, doesn't matter how he was using it. He was using it in a condoning fashion. This is how you do it. This is Jesus. El Jesus. Let's see here. Godless Scummer. The Bible is gross. It really is. I don't see how, it's only through indoctrination and years of just lying to these people. Oh, Jesus gave his life for you. It's bloody and it's disgusting, but it's holy. It's love. It's the best gift someone could give you. They make this horrible and disgusting thing clean and white. And they program people with that for years, all their lives. Then they come in here and they say things that are just disgusting without even thinking about it. God gave his only son for you. His son bled for you. Wait. You're describing a fucking child sacrifice. You're literally describing a child sacrifice where somebody sacrificed their child for my sins. That's a fucking child sacrifice. Nowhere in the New Testament does God call Jesus God. He always refers to him as his son. Always referred to as a separate person. Jesus always refers to God as a separate person. Whenever, even if you go to the John 10:30, where Jesus is, the Lord and I are one, even in that little conversation he has with the people, on numerous occasions does he actually set a separation between himself and his God. He's like, God and I agree on this, and then also me and God, and then God would do this thing, and I am the man who gets you into the heaven of the Father. He never sits there and says, I am the man who gets you into the heaven of my own house. He's like, my Father's house has many rooms. Not my house. Henrim, good morning, Henrim. It's been a day or 3. Thank you for joining us. $2 says, keep pounding, brother. Tax the billionaires. Oh, yeah, tax them. Well, I don't think we should have billionaires. They had their chance. They fucked it up. They shouldn't have billionaires. We should set a limit at a certain amount of X million dollars. that people should be allowed to make. And then after that, and I don't give a fuck how you get it, whether it's in stock, properties, if all you got is like all your money is tied up in properties and all that, but you got X amount of $1 million, you can fucking go eat at Walmart or McDonald's or Costco for $1.50 hot dog. I don't give a fuck. You need to liquidate some shit and get you some cash. It's not my problem. But the fact that they do what they do, they buy our elections, I mean, they could still be uber rich, and yet our world could be beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, just imagine all them. I mean, oh my goodness, it's just stupid. We should not have billionaires. Mike Donegan says, beware this wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes, please. Do beware, Mike. Do beware. Beware if you're a small-minded coward, I guess. You need to lean on a big God creature behind you to make you feel safe. Let's see. Robert Hutchinson, good morning. And the bald guy from the Heaven's Gate said the same thing. Look what happened to them. That's right. What was his name? Applewhite? Something Applewhite, I think. Yeah. And then, of course, there's the David Koreshes. Jim Jones. Anybody heard of Jim Jones? You know, God creates the problem, then sells the solution. Cushy, good morning. Actually, yeah, very much so. It is sort of like, check this out. It is sort of like a protection racket, right? God's gonna come and get you, but then he sends his people and says, listen, man, if you give us the money, the big guy won't get you. But right, they're the same people. It's the same group. One of them's threatening you. One of them's offering protection from that other one for a certain amount of money. It's a fucking protection racket, right? Donegan says false prophet. Actually, no, I'm not a prophet at all. In fact, see, that's the whole thing. If you don't know the difference, then you're already fucked. I mean, really, not a false prophet. A false prophet will be somebody claiming to be a believer of Christ, right? I'm an apostate. I'm an apostate. I'm a heretic and an apostate. Apostate means I used to believe, but I don't believe anymore. A heretic means I'm somebody who doesn't believe the same thing you do, but that's not a Christian. You know what I mean? No, yeah, heretic. No, heretic's a Christian. So I'm just an apostate. And a heathen. Anyway, get your shit together. Yes, Mike, God is painted as good. The Bible says we must tithe. Why? You know why, Mike? Because it's a scam. And the people behind it needed goats and they needed food. Remember, I mean, literally they had the Leviticus group of priests where they didn't work and you had to go give them food so they could be priests. Remember, that's kind of, and then like you could tell, go look at the Old Testament, like, our priests ain't getting enough doves. Not enough doves. We need more doves in here for dove. I mean, it's all lamb meat nowadays. We need some dove meat. So then they describe this law. Oh, we got a new law out where if you have a female child, if your woman has a female child, she is unclean for a week or 2 weeks, in fact, and then she must bring a sacrificial dove to the temple to get clean. Oh, now they're getting doves. See what I mean? It really kind of goes through. I mean, that's a very simplified version for you, my slow friend. But that's really essentially how it went. Go look. But you know what? I tell you what, you could even give them a burnt offering, which is barbecue. You do know the priest got to keep the meat, right? Jesus Christ tells the people, the rich, who's he tell the rich to give their money to? The poor. You're right, Mike. Oh my goodness, the poor, they so need. Who does Jesus tell the poor to give their money to? Well, to Jesus and to God. So if the rich give their money to the poor, and then the poor give their money to the church, who gets the money? You can say it out loud. Scam. You can say scam. It's a scam. It is wait. Did Jesus say, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's? I'm not sure if he did or not, really. Wow. Let's see. Churches cost money. They do cost money, Chef Boyardee. But why can't their God provide for them? Why does it need my money? Why can't it provide for them? I mean, sure, it may not actually fill their bank account with cash, but it could magically keep the lights on and not wear. I mean, really, it's got power, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Churches need our money. Why does God need our money? Interesting stuff. Flash warning. Good morning, flash warning. Let me catch up a little bit with our chat here. False prophet. Let's see. The proud atheist, you get a return on your taxes. He did through tithes. Oh, yeah, that's right. Good morning, a beat guy. Average atheist. Do you think I'm average? Made it up to average. That's awesome. Tithes are a scam, but what about taxes? Okay, Chef Boyardee, listen, your tithes go to your fucking church so they can build a bigger church so they can pay off lawyers for protecting their pedophile priests. That's where your tax dollars go. When you get taxed, that money goes to the police departments, the hospitals, the streets, the roads, the emergency services. You see the difference, you fucking moron? You don't see the difference. You can't see the difference between a tithe and a fucking tax. Are you that stupid? Oh, wait, you're a Christian. That's a rhetorical question. Jesus Christ, you people are fucking stupid. Taxes are geez, right? Goodness gracious. Thank you, godless scummer. To paraphrase George Carlin, he's all-knowing, all-powerful, all-wise, but somehow he just can't manage money. Godly people go to church. Really? Isn't that, can you explain to us, is that where not all of, obviously, but a great part of the child sex scandals happen in the church with all the godly people? Is that right, Mike? That's why I'm personally one of those who now have come to the conclusion in my heart that if you are a responsible parent, you will not leave your child with a Christian. You will not tantamount to being intentionally leaving your child in a place of harm. How do you feel about that? And it's not my fault. I don't make that shit up. Just go look, just search, Mike, on the news. Just search priest arrested for, and just stop and let the thing fill out. You won't find the same thing for atheists. You just won't. But that's where all the holy people are. Godly people are there. But that's right. Isn't that true? That's right. Where the godly people. How old was Mary? How old was Mary? Clearly Mary was 18. Maybe even old enough to... Oh, wait. No, she wasn't. No, she was fucking 12. At best. At best, right? So your God creature is a fucking pedophile. Can you say it out loud? By our standards today, don't judge them back then by how we live today, but you expect us to live today by how they judge things back then. No, your God creature is a fucking pedophile. Interesting. Matter of fact, I had this guy offer me a thing. That should have slapped me. I should have got that one. He says, I'll send you $50 if you find a single condonement of child marriage, sexual violence, or, the birth of Jesus. That would have been the one. Sexual violence or murder. Yep. Condonement of child marriage, sexual violence. That would actually be Mary right there. Yeah, Mary. God raped Mary. You can't not, the whole notion, there's no way a young girl in the Middle East, and first of all, they were just property, right? We know they were treated as just property. They had no choice, zero choice. But the notion to think that she was somehow willing, she was willing. A 12-year-old girl is willing. So by you, 12-year-old girls are willing, and that makes it okay to have sex with them? Where does this line stop, Christian friends? Interesting thoughts. Maybe you're right. The churches are full of godly people, as demonstrated by the actions of God creature who raped a 12-year-old girl in order to have Jesus, who he could then commit a child sacrifice with. You people are fucking sick. And you don't even know it. That's the hard part. You don't even know it. Am I wrong? When you... I know I'm a loudmouth. I've got some hyperbole. I'm a Daffy Duck kind of character, but am I wrong? I'm not wrong. Where am I wrong? Mary was a 12-year-old girl. There's no way a 12-year-old girl could consent to anything. If I were now to go to you and you had a 12-year-old daughter right now, and I told you, well, she said it was okay to have sex with her. Is that okay with you? Would that be okay with you? So no. But if it's God, that makes it okay, right? Slime and hymen on the God creature, you're okay with that. So yeah, I'm a little Daffy Duckish. I'm a little kind of, but I'm not wrong. It's fucking disgusting. Your God creature raped a 12-year-old girl at best. So it could have its own son that it could later perform a child sacrifice on. A human sacrifice. Now, it is firstborn son, right? First breach of the womb. So Jesus is the firstborn son, child sacrifice. You worship that. And you're not disgusting. We're the ones with bad moral sets. I'm the one who is a bad person because I don't have a God creature that condones child sex, slavery, murder, rape, genocide. I'm immoral because I don't have that God creature watching over to me to make sure I'm okay. Can you imagine that? Isn't that weird? That's like having Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, all those motherfuckers wrapped into one person watching over your shoulder going, you better be good. Well, what is good by something like that? What is good by a creature that condones killing people? You know, there's a story we really like to tell us atheists, and we're like, oh yeah, Psalms, I think 127. You don't hear me talk about it too much. 127, where God creatures, they're singing about dashing babies against the rocks, happily dashing the child against the rocks. And that's a song. They're saying it's a song, is what it is. They're singing a song about dashing children against the rocks. And then, of course, the Christians will say, theists will say, believers, whoever, they'll be like, yes, but they're singing about do back to those who had already done to you whenever you are. So somebody has done this to you. They've taken your children and dashed them against the rocks. So the song is like, when you get the chance, you should do this back to them. Dash their children against the rocks. Happy shall ye be. That's fucking God telling you to do that. That is God's creatures' children singing a song, teaching to kill infants by grabbing them by the feet and dashing them against rocks. Because God creature was so weak and so impotent and so powerless, he couldn't keep that from happening to his own loved people. Because somebody else did it to them, and now they're singing songs about doing it to someone else. God creature. Merciful, loving, disgusting. How does that work out for you? Right? I mean, let's see here. Let me see what the chat says. Pure evil, this clown God. Right, it is. It is evil. I've said before, if you really stop and look at it, the God creature of the Old Testament of the Bible, because Jesus is God, if you believe in either way, he either is God or represents him. Either one. He condones God. And the God creature of the Old Testament is just absolutely fucking horrible. It is as close to a demon from fucking hell as you could absolutely get. And I know you think I'm kidding you because a lot of you have been programmed, raised to think it's a loving God, a merciful God, but it's absolutely not. It is more like a pit demon from fucking hell. It does not use wisdom. It does not use love. It does not use kindness. None of those things. In any example in the Bible where we see the God creature engaging with anyone, personally, it's always violent, disgusting, harsh, ugly, killing their children, drowning people, burning entire towns with fire, having people sacrifice their children to it. Do all of these things sound like a merciful God, a loving God, or do they sound like the actions of a pit demon from hell? Really? I'm not fucking kidding. Which one? Where in the Old Testament, the God creature, does God act like a reasonable person? Is it whenever God creature kills all the firstborn of Egypt? Is it whenever the God creature sends his angel to Hagar and tell her to go back, the rape slave of Abram, by the way, and tells her to go back to her abusive masters? Is it, where does it end? God, do not do this. Let's see. Hail the flying spaghetti monster. A beat guy. Good morning, beat guy. Yeah. No. Well, see, here's the whole deal. It was talking about what would happen to Israel when the Babylonians invaded, because I don't think so. I think you're wrong. Don, let me just check on that, though. I will check. But I like learning stuff. And like I said, I don't talk about this one terribly much. Let's see. So I was actually corrected once where I had thought they were just literally singing about, hey, when you do this, when you defeat these people, beat their children to death on rocks. But actually, I believe I learned, but I've sifted a lot of I learned that it was a response. Let me do this. Happy shall ye be. Maybe. Okay, so let me do this right here. Let's see what this says. All right, so now listen, you were wrong. It was talking about what would happen to Israel when the Babylonians invaded. because they wouldn't repent. Let me read this to you. Historical context. The psalm, which I said earlier, reflects the deep anguish of the Israelites after the Babylonians had conquered Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, and forced them into exile. The Babylonians were notorious for their extreme brutality during conquest. So why couldn't your God creature protect his people? First of all, why couldn't it protect us from the Babylonians? Couldn't your God creature could not protect its own infants from the Babylonians? And then wrote it down. They write this down in a holy book, that whenever somebody does you wrong, turn the other cheek, give forgiveness. No. Exact revenge. Bloody revenge. This is God creature. Throughout the whole, is that the work of a reasonable creature, or is that the work of a demon, a pit demon from fucking hell? I mean, you again, Christians out there. I mean, I've seen some of them go, well, God created you, so he can take you out any way he wants to. Well, and you're more moral than I am? You are, because your God creature wants to kill me in a horrific fashion because I don't love it. That's okay by you because it created me. And therefore, by that notion, if your son or daughter doesn't love you, does that mean it's okay for you to beat them to death? Who's more moral? Where do you get your morals from, Christians? Anyway, all hail the flying spaghetti monster. Let's see what's going on here. Some of the chat fly by. You are both incoherent and illogical. Hey, cool. Yaku Bujo Shua. Maybe if you were to have a smart person explain it to you. Technically, literally, scientifically proven, non-theists, non-religious people are more intelligent than religious people. So maybe you should have an atheist explain it to you. They can talk slow enough for you to explain to you how your God creature is horrific. Have I not made my point? I mean, you can go look. I went and looked. You can go look. I mean, nowhere does it. I mean, it's just hideous and disgusting. God creature all throughout the Old Testament, hideous and disgusting, hideous and disgusting. Jesus, hideous and disgusting. Yeah, hideous and disgusting. Jesus, you know, the guy who tells you to hate your family, the guy who tells you that if you don't worship the same creature I do, you are not my family. That guy. That's fucking John chapter 2 or Mark chapter 2, 1 or 2. When Jesus's mother and brothers come to get him out of the cult he's in, read it like a reasonable person. He's in a fucking cult surrounded by woohoos, and his mother and his brothers come to get him. Literally. Go read it. I'm just some jackass on the internet. What'd you call me? Incoherent and illogical. Don't believe me. Go read it for yourself or have a smart person read it to you. And what did Jesus say to them whenever they went to him? And they said, hey, man, you're in a weird place. He said, no. They're like, those aren't your family. We're your family. Come home with us. And he's like, no, you are not my family. These people here are my family. Jesus told his disciples to sell their cloaks and buy swords. Why did he do that? Jesus told you to beat your slaves. We talked about that earlier on the show. Jesus told you to beat innocent slaves beat them. Beat guilty slaves with a lot of blows. Beat innocent slaves with few blows. So, yeah, I guess I'm wrong. You know, I guess I'm just some idiot on the internet. Go look for yourself. Go look for yourself. One of my favorite new discoveries is that I never realized it. In Matthew, Jesus even says he's going to come back and commit atrocities on a scale fucking Hitler would love. Jesus, according to Matthew, is going to come to earth. And of course, Christians are like, yeah, it's cool. They're going to come to earth and they're going to put everybody who isn't the right kind of Christian, notice I said the right kind of Christian, and burn them in furnaces with the gnashing of teeth. And I say that not the right kind of Christian because several times in the New Testament, Jesus tells you, not all who follow me will be saved. Not everyone who calls my name will be heard. Not the road to heaven is narrow, the path to hell is wide. So many of you Christians out there are doing it wrong. You got to know it's like fucking rolling dice. Do you know if you're doing it right? How do you know? The feeling in your heart? How do you know you're doing it right? Have you plucked out your eye? No, you haven't plucked out an eye. Wait. You managed to get to this age in your life as a Christian, and you've never looked at a woman with lust in your heart. Or if you did, you didn't pluck out your eye and you're going to fucking hell. Which is it? Are you the right kind of Christian or the wrong kind of Christian? Jesus said, few, even though not all who call my name. Jesus says, if your eye lusts after a woman or obviously a man, you should pluck it out. Christians, is there a single one-eyed Christian in my fucking audience at all? Any one of you? Any one of you, a one-eyed Christian? No? Not a one? Interesting. Fascinating. You really love Jesus Christ and all that business whenever it comes to imposing his will on what you think are women who are pregnant. But when it comes to following the rules, oh no. But again, remember, Jesus is going to burn people in hell. A lot of people in hell. And I mean, you just can't not know, right? How do you not know? Let's go to Matthew chapter, 13? Matthew 13, 41, 42. Christians, are you listening? Ever heard of here? You know, I don't, without knowing what you guys got going on. Let's go on with Matthew chapter 13. These are Jesus's words. Jesus. The Son of Man. Now, Jesus always refers to himself as the Son of Man. He calls himself the Son of Man because he's trying to be a prophet, like Ezekiel from the Old Testament, where God always refers to him as Son of Man. So that's why Jesus does that. He said, so the Son of Man will send out his angels. So Jesus is saying, I will send out my angels if you believe Jesus is God and the Son of angels. And Jesus is Son of Man, as he says. So the Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. What is sin and what is evil? Anybody who doesn't worship Jesus, anybody who denies God, anybody who denies Jesus, anybody, and then of course, all those who do evil. So that also means that even if you do believe in God and you worship him incorrectly, you're going to be one of the ones getting. They will throw them into the burning furnace. Now, this is fucking Jesus doing a Hitler thing on a scale you can't possibly imagine. Billions of people. If Christianity is 3 billion, 3 or 4, and not all of them are going. So all the other 5 or 6 billion people, plus a good hunk of the Christians, we're talking a slaughter that's just ridiculous. Am I wrong? Let me read that to you again. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. Jesus Christ committing atrocities against humanity. They will throw them into the blazing furnace where they will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, Christians, out of context. No, my friend, I gave you the context. You go read it for yourself. It's the Christians who actually take shit out of context. Go read it for yourself. It continues again, echoes the same thing in Matthew 13, 47 through 50. It repeats itself. It does. So just to make clear, just in case you want to say that's not fucking what it means, they said, let's write it again, just so you know. So let me read it to you, the other passage. It says, Matthew 13, 47 through 50. Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up on the shore. Then they sat down and collected the good fish in the baskets, but threw away the bad. It doesn't say that they threw them back. I just now noticed. It doesn't say they threw them back in the water. It just shows they threw them away. But I carry on. Threw the bad away. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous. And then verse 50, and throw them into the burning furnace where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Jesus and his angels murdering innocent mothers, brothers, fathers, grandfathers, just all the people, everybody who doesn't believe in him. Now, you can go look at the Old Testament. This is God creature, right? The vicious. If you want to see whenever they bring the sword, how vicious God creature is, go look. And God creature has no problem telling them to murder pregnant women. Moses was commanded to slaughter the Amalekites, man, woman, and every woman, man, child, and every woman who has known a man, including pregnant women. That includes pregnant women, God creature. Now, wait a second. The only ones allowed to live were the virgin girls. However, when God creature returns in the future in Revelation, when Jesus is slaughtering everybody, they won't really have a need for virgin females, will they? They won't have a need. There's no need for those. They'll have all those already, Christian people, right? They've got all those. So they'll just slaughter them too, right? Is that what they're going to do? Or do you think they'll actually go out of their way to make sure they save virgin females just really for the trauma? Well, how do you think Jesus is going to go? Do you think Jesus is going to do that? You think he's going to fight the way God creature told Moses to fight? When Jesus comes back with his mighty sword, he's going to slaughter me, my daughter's husband, but he's going to leave my daughter's 9-year-old girl alive so one of you good Christians can take her as your wife. How's that going to work? That's the example set by your God creature. And then Jesus himself is talking about coming back and slaughtering millions. And then we haven't even got to Revelations yet. A revelation. We haven't even got to Revelation, where Revelation talks about the Lamb who was sacrificed, who is covered in blood, and who is riding a horse with a sword out of his mouth. He's going to come slaughter every fucking body on this planet. Am I wrong? Am I lying? Am I taking it out of context? Any of those things out of context? No, you know what Revelation is about. If you say I'm taking the slaughter of humanity out of context in Revelation, you're just a fucking idiot, or you're a liar. A liar. You're a liar. And Matthew 20:13 tells you how it's going to happen. Jesus is going to come and slaughter every man, woman, and fucking child that doesn't believe in Jesus Christ. Merciful, forgiving, loving, turn the other cheek, kind, wise. None of those words describe this at all in any way. Now, we can go to Revelation if you want to, where it talks about Christians. You really don't want to check this out, man. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. I'm sorry. You just don't want to do this. There's a place in Revelation in the back of the book, Revelation, where I believe it says the Lamb is going to be standing on a wine press. And that wine press is going to be, this is all metaphorical, of course. The wine press is going to be squeezing out blood of humanity. This is talked about in Revelations when Jesus, God creature, comes back and he's slaughtering everybody. He's giving us a metaphor about how much blood there's going to be. The God creature, Jesus, the Lamb is going to be stepping on the press, the wine press in Jerusalem, I think it was, or somewhere. And it's going to, the blood is going to be as high as a horse's bridle, which is about 4 feet high, and 1,600 stadia. I don't know if that's in a line like a road or in a circle. Well, in a circle would obviously be a lot more blood. That's about 180 miles of blood, 4 foot high. Creature, merciful. And that's Jesus doing the squeezing. Jesus doing the squeezing. Let me see if I can find that. Wine press. I haven't added that one, obviously, to my notes. I do have a note in there about Noah getting drunk on wine. As soon as he got off the fucking boat, he does a winery and gets drunk. Let's go. Revelation, wine press. In the book of Revelation, the wine press is a powerful symbolic metaphor for the ultimate crushing judgment of God against sin and evil. You could read that as the ultimate crushing judgment of Hitler against the Jews. Couldn't you? Show me the difference. Found in Revelation 14, 19, and 20. And 1915. Oh, let's go look this out. Oh, yeah, Revelation 9. Oh, my goodness. I knew they did it more than once. Let me check this. I haven't added it to my Nuevo Notes yet, so maybe I need to add it to my notes. Let's go Revelation 14, 19, and 20, where your God creature, where your Jesus talks about all the blood, all the murdering of fucking innocent women, children, and men that he's going to do. Are you going to be part of God's army? Are you looking forward to coming back and raising your sword and slaughtering little kids in the name of Jesus Christ? Is that you? Hi, good morning. Let's see here. Someone said Jesus is God, so show them where he is. Yeah, apparently Jesus shaves. Jesus slaves. I just spilled coffee on myself. What is it about you people? I'm just going to go Revelation 14. I spilled coffee on my keyboard yesterday. Day before yesterday? Oh, was it Friday? It was Friday. Oh, shit, man. I couldn't use the keyboard all weekend. It finally came around yesterday. Let's do it. Revelation 14, NIV. What was that scripture? 14 what? 14... 19 through 20. Okay, so this is Jesus, God creature, 19 through 20. The angel swung his sickle on the earth. Take your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of grapes from the earth's vine, because its grapes are ripe. This is a metaphor for slaughtering humans. The angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath. They were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as a horse's bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia. See, 180 miles. It doesn't say whether it's in a line or in a circle, though. I would imagine it'd be a pool, though, right? It's a pool of blood. It would be a pool of blood, right? And that's a lot of fucking blood. 1,600 stadia, about 180 miles, 300 kilometers of blood stamped out by the lamb, the angel. It varies depending on which one how you take him. It is actually, so here you go. Then I looked, and there before me was the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his father's name. Two separate people. Two separate people. The book of Revelations identifies them as two separate people. Modern Christians just want to worship Jesus. It's against the rules, so they make him God. Anyway, and I heard from a sound from heaven like the roar of rushing waters and like a loud peal of thunder. The sound I heard was like that of a harpist playing their harps. Then they sang a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders. No one could learn the song except the 144,000. This is an interesting point right here, in that this literally states that there are things that people who believe can do that non-believers or the other people who are not the right ones cannot do. And no Christian, no theist has ever been able to do that. There's not a mountain only Christians can climb. There's not a song only Christians can learn. There's nothing only Christians can do. Interesting. Anyway, he goes on. No one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed. These are those who did not defile themselves with women. God hates women. Doesn't he hate women? For they remained virgins. To have sex with a woman defiles you. He doesn't clarify if it's sexual or consensual or marriage, nothing. Marriage, no. It just says defiled with a woman. That's all. And then it says, for they remained virgins. Therefore, it means they couldn't, women are just fucking dirty, is what it's saying. It's not saying married men. No, virgins. Then it goes on and says, they follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They were purchased from among mankind and offered as first fruits of God and the Lamb. This is literally, if you read this with like a non-theistic eye, this reminds me of the slave sales. Doesn't it remind you of the slave sales of the 1800s, where they'd bring the slaves up on the stage, on the little stage out there, and they'd sell them, they'd pull them along. They're bringing all these slaves for God, for man. He pulled these slaves specifically for you. Let me read that again. They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They were purchased like slaves from among mankind and offered as first fruits to God and the Lamb. It sounds like human sacrifices again, doesn't it? Interesting. No lie was found in their mouths. They are blameless. That would be exactly who they would sacrifice, wouldn't it? They like hurting innocent things to make bad people feel better about themselves. Christians. Anyway, I go on. No line was. Then I saw another angel. Oh, this is the whole fucking thing. Let me just move down to where. Then I saw another angel flying in midair. Essentially, go at the end. Jesus wipes it down. From another angel came the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Lots of angels, by the way. Just exactly what the other scripture says in Matthew, doesn't it? The Lord and his angels. Let me bring that other one up here. Where is that other one? Let me bring this over here for you, my friends. Let's see, Matthew 13:41. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out. Revelation. Another angel came out of the temple of heaven, and he took a sharp sickle. Still another angel who had charge of fire came from the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle, "Take your sharp sickle and gather the cluster of grapes from the earth." So, not out of context, is it? Jesus is commanding his angels in Revelation to come and murder everybody on the planet, except for a few who believe right. And don't blink them out of just existence. There's no mercy. There's no mercy. The mercy, apparently, according to these people, was already given when he gave them the silent choice where somebody, some preacher guy, told them something that they were supposed to figure out and believe on their own, but they couldn't do it right, so God creature is going to now burn them or kill them forever. Couldn't create an immutable word, could not create a singular voice, a Bible that was unmistakable no matter who read it. Math works that way. So you can't really say the universe is incapable of such a language. Also, I gotta say, if you believe this God creature is all-powerful, almighty, knows everything, do you believe committing its word in a singular, unmolestable form is beyond its power? Somehow. So God creature can't create a single immutable word Bible that everybody agrees on. Why is that? It's almost as if he's not there. And it's just a bunch of people making up different shit. Yeah, just making it up as they go along. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm just a guy on the internet, though. Revelation, however, I just want to mention Christians. Jesus slaughters billions of people personally. Him and his angels go out amongst the world and slaughter people by the billions. Matthew 13 is where Jesus himself tells you it's going to happen. Revelation 14 is where it's described as the vision from John. Not John the Baptist. I don't know. Not the John the Baptist. No, this is John Peter's friend, by the way. I think is who they're quoting. So, you're all about wholesale slaughter. Christians are all about wholesale slaughter. Another thought, though, is if you're a Christian, how selfish are you? Are you selfish? If I gave you $10 and put it in one of your hands, but in order to get that $10, I have to take a hammer and mash the hand of 10 5-year-old children. Do you still want the money? Or no? Would you take the money knowing those children will get their hands smashed? Would you accept the glory of the Lord knowing that lots of children are going to be murdered in his name? Are you going to accept that? You'll be happy? Are you eager to see that come? Are you that selfish that you can't wait for your day in heaven, even if it costs billions of people their lives in a murderous fashion, and they then go to hell? You're down for that. Of course you are. Because you're a Christian. Do you have a loved one who's on their deathbed, but they've yet to give themselves up to the Lord?
Are you sure you don't want to come to Jesus?
No.
This is your final chance.
No. Worried they're headed to the fiery pits of hell.
Your very last chance.
No. I've been wicked and sinful. I deserve to burn in the hot place.
As you wish. Farewell, my heathen husband.
Farewell, my... Well, fear not, my wayward child. Introducing Father Flanagan's line of post-mortem baptismal kits. No more worries about being miserable alone forever. Be a good Christian and share that eternal pain and suffering with the ones you love. I'm in hell. Not as hot as I thought it'd be. Kind of feels like Houston, minus the humidity. Hello. My favorite drink crafted to perfection. Ooh, and some dank ass weed.
I can't bear to be down on my face chanting, holy, holy, holy is the Lord, every day, all day, for all eternity, by myself.
Wow, is that George Carlin? And Alan Turing, look at that. Carl Sagan, oh, I am so honored. You've been my hero since I was a kid. Neil deGrasse Tyson, what are you doing here? Oh, I get it. I get it. Schrodinger's heathen. Very cute, you. Very cute. That's fantastic. Oh, what is that? What is? It's holy water. Oh, it burns. No, this isn't where I want to be. Pabst Blue Ribbon and a Marlboro? No!
Father Flanagan's post-mortem baptismal kit. Dead kid tested, Mother Teresa approved.
Is that the Pope and John Paul? Jim Jones and Jimmy Swaggart, huh? I can see that coming. Neil deGrasse, what are you doing? Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord.
Thanks, Father Flanagan.
Damn them to an eternity in heaven for only $59.99. They wouldn't appreciate it, but you'll feel better, and that's the point, isn't it? Get yours now. Your heathen loved one's time is running out.
Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. This is some bullshit. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. All right, so I've got a person in the chat. Good morning, Zainab Shukair. I don't know how to say her name. Pardon me if I said it wrong. Ask, okay, you're just going in circles, and then says, okay, the first person on Earth, where did they come from? And then ask, where did the first person ever come from then? Okay, well, I'll tell you, the first person, I don't know that there would be a singular first person, but we actually technically literally have evidence. Lots and lots of evidence showing the evolution of man from a form of early ape to what we are now. Not from chimpanzees. No, the chimpanzees came from the same ape and just broke off at a different time. We have evidence. We have lots of evidence. Thousands and thousands and thousands of skulls. Now, let me ask you, my friend, where's your evidence? I mean, we've got layers of dirt going back science. They all converge. They all agree for the most part. Almost all of it, like the scientific dating from the rock structure over here, it will tell you that these things over here, these bones were found here. And then you kind of get this evolutionary step process where you can see how they are. I mean, we got it. Where's yours? Where's your evidence for there's no fossils at all? None. And then all of a sudden, human skeletons appear out of nowhere. Just magically. Really? You have none of that. None of that. The claims that the Earth is 6,000 years old. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean, like on a childhood level. Ridiculous. We got so much evidence. We have cultures older than that. It's just crazy that you people would be so wrapped up in these ancient texts that you believe that kind of nonsense. So where did man come from, in your opinion? Zine just popped into existence, despite all the evidence we have of humans evolving from a certain form of ape? 20, very ridiculous. It's only 26 years old. That's right. That's right. It's anti-Judaism hour, folks, says Cope and Seethe. Maybe. I don't know where you're trying to go with that. I'm really kind of against all of them. See, here's the deal. The Christian religion, I know it's going to sound weird, is based on the Jewish religion. I know. So it's strange. Don't just go with it. So if you attack the undermining falsities of the original underpinning religion, and you can pull the legs out from it, then it destroys Christianity too. You know that, right? Right. So I'm just saying, because you probably could have a New Testament without the Old Testament. But then what would you have? What's Jesus's reason for being again? Sin? What sin? Original sin? There's no original. Oh, that's in the Old Testament. Son of a bitch. So there's no need for Jesus to exist. Fascinating. That's just not counting the other things like the 10 Commandments. Oh, 10 Commandments. So obviously without the 10 Commandments written, what? I don't know. Past 600 BCE. Without that, no one on the planet would know not to murder people. Obviously. Right? Just one question. Did you believe in God? I did believe in God, and then I grew up. Yeah. I mean, I was never indoctrinated properly. My parents were light Christians, once or twice a year we might go to church, or, if somebody got married, we'd go to church. We believed every now and then. Somebody died. Really, no, I wasn't properly indoctrinated, thankfully. Miko, you are wonderful. You just give away those bronze level subscriptions. You're so fantastic. I thank you very much. You are wonderful. No matter what everybody else says about you, I don't believe it. It's all lies, Miko. It's all lies. We see here if it's going to tell me. Sometimes I leave comments with it and I don't see the comments. Let me see if it's going to show me here. Show me the thing. Thank you very much, Miko. I appreciate you. The Torah is all lies. Do not fall for their fairy tales. Whose fairy tale should we fall for? Just let me know. Clarify, please. I respect Jesus so much, but he's a messenger in our religion, so you're a Muslim. Gotcha. You are a liar, says this person, Rhino. You misspelled liar. Why am I a liar? Where did I lie? Please explain. And then we'll talk about it. In the chat, if I even see it. I may not see it because there's a lot going on. But if I see it, I'll respond. Zion says one question. Okay, yeah, I used to believe in God. I don't believe in God anymore. Something. I have never seen a physical fallen angel, but I think this is one. Follow him and you're totally doomed. Ooh, thank you, Elizabeth. I got all sticky on that one. That's very nice. Thank you. How weak and powerless is your God creature, though? I mean, really? I'm just some dude in the desert in New Mexico. And your God creature's word is so flimsy that that's one of the things. I really hope you're here. I really hope you do listen. You should listen. I know I do seem like a kind of arrogant sometimes. I get angry. And sometimes if you ever break free of your indoctrination and you get on the outside, you'll be angry too. You'll be angry at yourself. You'll be angry at the people who misled you. And you'll be angry every time you see someone who is like you used to be. When they come and tell you that the only reason why you don't love Jesus is because he hasn't touched your heart. That's like telling a lesbian the only reason why she's a lesbian because she hasn't had the right dick. How do you know that you're not gay if you haven't had the right dick? I mean, maybe all it is giving you the right dick and you might be gay. Is that how that works? Interesting. English second language. Understood. Okay, got you, Rhino. Thank you for that. Thank you for letting me know that. You would be amazed at how many first language English. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate you for that. Let's see. I want to leave this one from Elizabeth Williams up there because that's good. I'll put it up here again so you guys can read it. You're both incoherent and okay. I get that one out of there. Christians. Let's see. Groot. Never mind. I just go on with it. So Islam. If you're a Muslim, then you think Jesus is a prophet. And to be fair, I actually disagree with a lot of Muslims about a lot of things. That's not right. That's not the proper way to say that. I disagree with Islam and its teachings, but that's not one of them. I don't disagree with that. I think they're right. Don't you think they're right, Muslims? I think they're right. I think you're right. I think Jesus is not a God creature. I think Jesus is a prophet. He says he's a prophet. He never calls himself God. God calls himself his son. Jesus tries to identify as a prophet Ezekiel because Ezekiel was called by God the Son of Man. Jesus called himself the Son of Man. Jesus was trying to be a prophet. He even called himself a prophet in Mark chapter 6 or 5 or 6. He calls himself a prophet, not God. So I would actually agree with the Muslims. They have some very sound reasoning as to why Jesus is not God. Let's see here. I did see something. I don't know. I don't understand that one to see why that would be blocked, but it's not my language, so I ain't gonna worry about it. I did see one. You're respectful. I have one. I want you to do. I'm respectful. So you're respectful. Is that saying you're wanting me to be respectful as well? I think that's what you're saying. I can understand that. I can understand how a Muslim would want me to be respectful, because if I'm not respectful, then I'm going to start pointing out all the horrific things about your prophet. Yeah. And I'll go right for the heart. I don't fuck around. I don't. So you want me to be respectful because I'm going to go, yes, I agree with you that Jesus was a prophet and not God. But I don't agree with your prophet because he married a 6-year-old and then had sex with her when she was 9. And that the Hadith talks about how she would describe scraping the semen out of his robes. That's just a start. Now, see, I'm not even being disrespectful. I'm just speaking truths. If speaking a truth is disrespectful, maybe you should regard your religion from another light. Now, you might be one of those people who say, well, that part of the thing where she said that or she wrote that down or whatever is part of some hadith that's not official. Is it a hadith or not? Is it a hadith people read and worship and share, even if not the majority of them, or not? So I don't think we really want to be going the Islam way. We could talk also about the time Muhammad captured. You know, we talk often, you can't really talk about Jesus literally murdering someone, but you can about Muhammad. My understanding is, I mean, he killed somewhere between 6 and 900, or 3 to 6, I think he's 6 to 900 personally. Captive slaves, unarmed people that they had taken in battle, brought before Muhammad, and he beheaded them. Probably until his arms got fucking tired or some shit. You can't really say that about Jesus. I'm just saying. Anyway, so go read the Quran, please, in your own time if you want to. Yeah, have you read the Quran, Zainab? I'm just curious, really. Have you read the Quran in your own language? If your language is not Arabic. Have you read the Quran? Can you tell me which chapter in the Quran, which surah, pardon me, does it tell you to take off the fingers and the heads of the non-believers, of the wicked? Which surah is that? Which story is it where Muhammad kills another man so he can have his wife? I forget. It's been a while. Anyway, we don't normally talk about Islam here, so we'll move on. There's no evidence, Chrissy G, there that any God exists in reality. That is true. And really, we have lots of proof of evolution. And here, listen, Christians, especially Christians, I don't know. I really don't engage with Muslims very often, so I don't know how you feel about evolution. But the Christians here tend to not believe in it because they feel evolution negates the Genesis story of the Bible, and therefore they're God. I don't really think that myself. I don't think that believing in evolution and that evolution happened negates their God at all. I don't think that. I don't. I'm an atheist. I don't think that. I mean, this is the God creature, allegedly, that loves us all, loves all of mankind, can watch every leaf on every tree, and painstakingly creates every petal on every flower. Why would this God creature truncate the existence of mankind down to just a few thousand years whenever he could spend 300,000-400,000 years with us tops watching us grow and develop as a people? Why would it do that? And the only reason I think why a lot of theists believe that or are against evolution is only because in the Bible it says, poof, We showed up. God created this being like that. They can't take the metaphor. They come in here and you don't get no non-life from life from non-life, yet they expect man came from dirt. But Christians, if you take it as a metaphor, yeah, man came from dirt. Technically, scientifically, evolutionarily speaking, abiogenesis, it would technically be the beginning, the very spark of man coming from dirt. Yeah. But no, you guys are fuck it. No, because some guy, I think back in the 1800s, noticed that in this place in the Bible it says a year to God is a day. And then somewhere else in the thing it says it took God 6 days to create the universe. And therefore they put those two together and all of a sudden the universe is 6,000 years old. Rather than just going, man, yeah, I mean, God could have done this. Why? I mean, when I was a Christian, my God was that powerful. My God was that strong. My God could do those things. If yours can't, then fuck you. I don't know what you're not the same Christian I was, as I'm saying. I'm just saying. I don't like dirt. Yeah, I mean, and then there's another thing. And you'll, Christians, I'm going to give you a piece of argument that if you'll embrace evolution and science, you'll have a handy little argument for your own metaphorical understanding of the Bible. I already gave you one just now about how man came from dirt is an allegory for abiogenesis. Boom. Your problem solved. Here's another one. There's often this thing in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God created light. And on the fourth day or the third or fourth day, God created the earth or the sun, right? So Christians are all, how could you have light without the sun? Well, my friends, the universe was 12 billion years old before our star even was born. Therefore, in the beginning, there was darkness and God created light. There was light. And then a few millennia, million years later, whatever, God created the heavens and the earth. It makes sense. It fucking makes sense. If you stop being a dick about it and just go, oh, I see. Yeah. In the beginning, there was light. And then the sun came on the third day. Yeah. I think it's something like that. Yeah. You see how you could actually make it work if you would just accept some things? But no, we've got to be hardcore. And it's because sometimes in the Bible you go, oh yeah, that's hardcore, that's rigid right there. Gays can't be with gays because it says so. But over here you're like, oh, well, that's funny. That's fuzzy over here. We just interpret that however you want to interpret it. From dirt. Abiogenesis. From dirt. Man from dirt. And you'll come in here and you'll say, oh, you see a man come from dirt, and a man life from non-life. I'm like, but you think life came from non-life, don't you? Don't you think life came from non-life? Adam came from dirt. That's what you think. Why would you disagree with our version, which actually have scientific evidence to back it up? I see a call for a dancing. Ooh. Let's see. Okay. All right. So we want. All right. We'll do this thing. We'll be back in just a minute.
Mi burrito es tan bueno. It burns when I pee. Abraham had the crotch cooties and gave his sister wife to me. El ataco bueno. It stings like a bee. They told me she was his sister. Now I'm plagued between the knees. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse. There's fire between my legs. Mi burrito está no bueno, a full bladder I fear. Abraham's lies and Sarai's touch have left me itching front to rear. Mi burrito está bueno, it burns when I pee. and gave his sister wife to me. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs. Mi burrito está no bueno, a full bladder I fear. Abraham's lies and Sarai's touch have left me itching front to rear. Mi burrito está no bueno, it burns when I pee. Abraham had the crotch cooties and gave his sister wife to me. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs.
Veritas Ratio, good morning, says that's why Jesus needed dirt to heal the blind. That's right. And spit. Took spit. Yeah, it took spit. Chrissy, C&G, has a wonderful point. If people came from dirt, why is there still dirt? Also, here's another one. If Eve came from a rib, why do we still have ribs? And you know, there was this notion that on one side of our body, the men had fewer ribs. That's not true. That's not true. Does that mean Adam? What does that do to your story of Adam? I mean, I guess it only matters to those who thought that he actually removed a rib, and that meant everybody lost a rib. Anyway, so yeah, so that was a good one. Let's see here. Why is the Pharaoh wearing a sombrero? You know, Gazamaze, I hope I said that right. Gazamaze, that's an interesting question. Kind of goes long back. Mi burrito está no bueno. It burns when I pee. The reason why is because I used to kind of sit around here if I'm kind of working. Let me find something real quick. And I'm going to... Mi burrito está no bueno. I did that for a long time. And then after, like, I don't know, 6 months, I didn't do it all the time, but you know what I mean. I'd go, mi burrito está no bueno. It burns when I pee. I'm writing a love song. That was the whole shtick. And then one day I was sitting there working on a thing, and I realized that in the Old Testament, Abraham gave his wife, his sister wife, to the Pharaoh. And then the Pharaoh gives her back and says, why did you give her to me and claim she was your sister when she was your wife? She gave me and my household a disease. So I combined the mi burrito está no bueno. A taco fue no bueno, or anyway, I combined that with the Pharaoh's curse story, and that's how you got Egyptians with a sombrero. Hope that answers your question. It was kind of a Zinab asks, what kind of proof would you accept? Well, you know, that's fantastic. Your God creature would know, wouldn't it? It would absolutely know. That's kind of curious. Why would your God creature send people here to tell us things, to try to convince us, when really, if it knew men's hearts and all things about men, it would know what it would take. There's no question. It wouldn't have a need to question. There would be magical words that I could read in a book and would just magically lift my heart, because God knows, but it doesn't. It doesn't. What would it take for you to not believe? All the evidence that says the foundations of your stories are all fake or lies or fucking horrific? What would it take? Are you one of those people who really, really think humans as a species didn't know not to murder people until like 2,500 years ago? Is that what you think? You don't think that, do you? I know, Ollie. Hey, Ollie, come here. Come here. Come here. The people want to say hi. Ollie, our computer engineer, is here. Oh, come here. People want to see the man behind the show. Our computer engineer is here. He's been working very hard. Working very hard on the show. Let's see. The only ones that say something came from nothing are Christians. I don't know. I don't really know how the Muslims feel about it. Hi, buddy. I just want to say hi to everybody. So if you need a therapist, when you call our therapy line, Ollie may be one of our trained therapists who helps you out. Did Ollie yawn? Oh, don't give it away for free. Don't give it away for free. Okay, fine. See you guys later. See you puppy later. All right. I would believe in God if every Christian treated everyone else with love and respect and none of them break the laws. Yeah, except for some reason, they have this propensity for raping children in churches. I don't know what that's about. No unified voice of God there for some reason? What's up with that? I know, Ollie yawns. Let's see here. I'm just kind of catching up with my chat. I see. Yes. So the whole where did your first man come from? That's a tough question. In that, I don't think you could actually say there was a singular first man. It would be a group of people, a large group of people, changing over time. A group of individual creatures, or, a group of what I mean, changing over time. So where one day you'd look up and yes, pretty much the main template for a modern man, with a couple of minor exceptions. It would probably evolve over the next couple 100,000 years. Yeah. Monkeys. Man came from monkeys. Good morning to you, Wes. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope I said your name wrong. Like the stream, heathens. It's a gray day. Hi, Patience. Is it gray for you? It is a little... Oh, it's not as sunny out today. It's light rain, it says even here. Let's see. Riku says, there wasn't a first man. Humans evolved from a population of around 10,000 across the entire globe. Yeah, quite a few. Yeah. There was one time I think we were down to like 12 or 1,600 humans. That was all that was around. I think if I remember correctly, it's been a day or two. So we've been here a while, working on things a while. I'm one of those that... Thank you, Dale. I'm one of those that kind of, it's like, I find, I'm not a conspiracy theorist of this way, right? But, look at the things we've done in 2,000 years, just since the time of Christ, of Jesus Christ. 2,000 years. I mean, a lot has changed. A lot has happened in 2,000 years. So man has been around for, let's say 100, some people say 100,000, other people say 200,000, maybe even longer. But let's just give them a general, let's go 100,000, even the 100,000 years. And in all that time, we never invented writing. 98,000 years of our existence, and we didn't, or well, no, more like 90,000 of our existence, and we didn't have writing. We didn't have culture. We didn't have any cities. We didn't know how to farm any kind of food for the first 90,000 years of our existence. And only the last 6,000 to 10,000 years have we really. That's just crazy. Crazy. Then sometimes I stop and I see things and I'm like, I'll see how there's this thing in China where they take this thing and they pull this bark off a tree and then they do this to it and this to it and this to it. And it does this, and for long they're doing this with it, and it hardens, and they turn it into I'm like, how the fuck did you? Oh, yeah, that's how you figured it out. 90,000 years. You had a long time to work out little shit, didn't you? So, I don't know. I'm a little amazed myself. If somebody actually came to me and said, we've discovered that humanity actually did reach a certain level of near our level of society at some point and then crash again, I would believe it given evidence. I would be eager to believe it. Let's see. Young Fresh, the thought of you atheists and how hateful you are brought me to Jesus Christ. Thank you. Isn't that's actually Christian projection, isn't it? Atheists aren't the hateful ones, are we? We're not the ones. I mean, you're the ones that are oppressing people, aren't you, Christians? And I think that's probably a lie. I think you're a liar. Young Fresh. I do. The thoughts of you atheists and how hateful you are. Really? We're hateful? What part of what I've said has been hateful? I mean, yeah, I did kind of go after Muhammad. I do that kind of. Don't bring Islam at me. I'm not very good with Islam. I just go right for I don't see the point of arguing any of the little quibbly bits. Oh yes, he said be good to your. Remember that one time where he was his Jewish neighbor didn't put out his trash, so Muhammad went to check on him. Yes, but I can't get over the fact that he fucked a 9-year-old. Oh, I just really don't go there. But yeah, other than that, it's Christian oppression. You guys are the ones that are oppressing. You are. You're the hateful ones. You're the hateful ones. If we're angry, it's because we're angry at you for oppressing us with your bullshit. Example, Christians took over our government with Donald Trump. You can lie and say they didn't, but they did. And as soon as Donald Trump got into office and the Christians got in office, Donald Trump will appease the Christians and give them almost any fucking thing they want because he's going to try to overthrow our government. And he's going to want Christian support to do it. Remember last weekend, not this weekend, but the last weekend, they had a 9-hour We Are Christian Nation meeting at the White House. Remember? Christians forcing yourself on our children in schools. Christians forcing themselves on our women in the hospital rooms. Yeah. Who's hateful? When your Christians took over the government, one of the things they set their sights on and did was they kicked all of the trans people out of the military. People lost their lifetime careers just because your religious nutbags don't like trans people. You kicked them out of the military. Oddly enough, trans people are so strong and so powerful. You don't want them in sports with regular people, but they're so weak, you don't want them in the military. Weird. Isn't that weird? Maybe it almost sounds just like a Christian hate thing, where you just want to go oppress and force other people on your business. It wasn't just that they kicked him out of the military. That's bad enough. But they also have set their sights on trying to stop all of the chemicals that they need to continue their transition. So literally they're trying to, or they were, I don't know where the progress on. It's been a while since I've thought about it. I know they were trying to forcibly de-trans people against their will by taking away their medication. Who's hateful? Interesting thoughts. Christians are the hateful ones. We're reacting to your oppressive bullshit. Let's see what else we got over here.
Today's world is confusing, and there's too much information for one person to make sense of it all. Which credit card should I pay off first? Is non-fat milk good for me? Who should I vote for? Let's face it, if you can't figure out high-interest milk, then how can you be expected to make political decisions that influence a country of over 325 million people? Well, that's why there's fascism. Fascism is the political, social, and economic system for today's world. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines fascism as a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of the opposition. Choose this ideology and life will be easy. Did you ever look at someone who uses really big words and think, I wish those libs would just disappear? Well, under fascism, your dreams can come true. Under fascism, you won't have to worry about the pesky little things like brown people or atheists, or who in your country is entitled to basic human rights and who is not. Hint, hint, the answer is nobody. Yes, friends, this truly is the final solution you've been looking for. And if you're concerned if this form of authoritarianism will be up to your high standards, don't worry. American fascism will be the best fascism in the world because it's been endorsed by Jesus. So go out and destroy freedom and democracy by getting fascism today. Paid for by the Fascio-Conservative Party, formerly known as the GOP.
All right, we are back. Let's see. I want to do this here. Get this out of the way. Rate ourselves. Well, my only biggest thing is where my energy life is how white Christians are so racist and said God ordained them to be over black people and racism is okay. I mean, I don't have one biggest thing, but that is a big one for me too. That white people, think we're better than other people. You can't say on the whole we don't. You just can't say it. That's just because of lack of travel, I think, for most of us, lack of experience with other people, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. But then the Christians to think that, I mean, how ignorant could you possibly be? I think Jesus was white, even remotely white. That's weird, isn't that weird? How Jesus, for some reason, looks like, I don't know, Kenny Loggins. If you're old enough to know who Kenny Loggins is. I want to get that out of there real quick. Good morning, that Opal guy. Thank you for joining us. Let's see here. I suspect our friend, our young friend, new people can be made or whatever and say that democracy has been taken away, but actually you're doing is going against democracy, just that people haven't spoken. You're just mad. That's stupid. You're wrong. You're going around taking away other people's rights. We are doing the same. You're right. We're doing the same. We're going around taking away your right to take away other people's rights. And I'm sure you're like, oh, I'm oppressed. Oh, look, gay people are getting married. Oh, look, trans people are getting married, they're just living their lives, and I can't oppress them in any way anymore. So, oh no, I'm oppressed. Christian, is that you? Interesting. Wendy Kirkland. Let me see here. I think there's evidence. Let's see. God. When I was a Christian, Wendy, that was my take on it. Because I have to say, I was probably like 7 or 8 years old in West Texas when I was taught about evolution in school and dinosaurs in school. I don't think we really hit evolution so much. I mean, I'm sure we didn't, but I do distinctly remember dinosaurs and the Earth being millions of years old or billions of years old, and then seeing the Bible story where it said these things happened all really at once. And I remember being a kid going, this doesn't make sense. That can't be right. Why can't you do that? Or you're a grown adult. Anyway, not you. I'm talking not. I got distracted. I wasn't talking to Miss Kirkland. Wendy, I wasn't talking to you about that. Sorry. I kind of was. I was saying, as far as the beauty of the God creature being able to see everything and guide everything, that's the kind of Christian I was. My God creature had power. These modern Christians are just, their God's a pussy. Christian persecution has entered the chat. There's no evidence for evolution. See, Miss Wendy, now you're getting into the absurd part. We have lots of evolution. We have lots of evidence for evolution. I don't know why you don't think we do. We've got, and I'm going to use maybe 1 billion, hundreds of millions of pieces of evidence at least, in fossil records. Just alone, fossils, just alone. That's not counting Wendy. That's not counting the modern examples that we have right now of things in different stages of evolution. Right now, you're like, oh, the eyeball. You know what? The eyeball starts as a little heat or light sensitive patch on the skin of other, and it kind of develops into an eye over time. Some eyes are different, but we have that. We have creatures that have that very first light sensitive patch. We found that in science right now. So millions of years from now, they'll probably evolve an eyeball. The eyeball has evolved several times in different creatures, and we have every little stage of the eyeball. We have examples of it. The fact that I don't know where you get this zero evidence from. I have no idea. No idea. It's just, where do you get that? How do you not know? How can you see, you don't see the cats and the big cats and the lions and the humans and the apes and the horses and the little horses, and you don't see the obvious progression of evolution? What's stopping you from believing that? What about the Word of God keeps you from believing in evolution? The evidence is ridiculous. It is so overwhelming. Let's see. Zainab says, my point isn't that it proves God with no other possibilities. It's that God is the best explanation compared to the alternatives. It's really not. It's really not. The God creature is not the best alternative. More like the universe popping into existence from some sort of quantum foam. You can go look that up in the quantum science thing. If you don't believe in evolution, you're never going to believe this, though. But I mean, yeah, there's zero evidence. It doesn't even make sense that some consciousness would be aware and create the universe 16 billion years ago, so it could come to us now and then burn us in fire forever for not believing in it. That makes sense to you? Interesting. Huh. It really just blows my mind how people can dilute themselves to believing just the most. Again, a lot of it was childhood indoctrination, to be fair. You were programmed to think this from childhood. You were programmed to think Jesus shedding his blood for you was a good thing. That's disgusting. It's disgusting. You were programmed from childhood to think it was beautiful, but it's not. It's not. It's not even like a soldier in a trench or in a foxhole or something. When a grenade comes in and they throw themselves onto the grenade to protect their other soldiers and they sacrifice themselves. It's not even like that. Not even like that, even remotely. Jesus didn't give himself. He didn't even break any bones. So they could fulfill a prophecy of the Old Testament. So without the Old Testament, what the fuck does Jesus do? Oops, sorry. The truth is what the facts are. If we have evidence that we evolved, why do you not see Monkey Man still alive today? Wendy, you should go look into that. You really should. You're asking the right questions. You are. But we do have, and part of the reason is because Monkey Man is actually we're a long way away from Monkey Man, to be fair, evolutionarily speaking. However, you can still see a lot of the hair on our knuckles. You can see the Monkey Man in us if you want to. You just don't want to. You don't want to. We even, fuck me. Oh, you're not going to believe it. We even have a vestigial tailbone. A vestigial what? A what bone? A vestigial tailbone. Because we used to have fucking tails. We have a tailbone. Wendy, why do we have a tailbone? Wendy, why do we have a tailbone? Now, an interesting thought is that there are people, you could decide, like, our people are different. You notice how our people are different all over the world? All over the world. I mean, like, if you were to find a skeleton of a zebra from, I don't know, 50 million years ago, and that zebra was 3 foot 4 inches tall, and you also, let's do 5 foot, 5 foot tall zebra. That's stupid. 3 foot, a 5 foot tall zebra. Okay. And then you also found another zebra that was like 6'8", and they were both males, fully grown by their bones. You would be going, oh shit, are those even the same species? They're kind of classed. You'd have to work on the class. How would people see human skeletons that way nowadays? You can have small, thin people, like generally Asian people tend to be, or fat white people, tall, 6'8". You know, how do they classify us all? You can't see a monkey man in that. You can't. We're all monkeys. Go far enough back. Now, technically, I want to be. Let's be a little pedantic, if you will. Monkeys have tails. That's why I said we're monkeys. That's the only reason why I ever accepted us as monkeys in any fashion. Technically, we're great apes. Great apes are the ones that don't have tails. That's kind of how you can tell what's an ape and what's a monkey. So when we say we evolved from apes, that's true. The apes we evolved from lost their tails before. See, so they were monkeys with tails. They kind of evolved partly like us, lost their tail, but they weren't like us. And then they continued on. I mean, this is all easy to understand if you... My understanding is in China, there are two different, and if there's any Chinese people here, work with me and let me know. There are different, obviously, languages of Chinese language, different dialects of Chinese languages. And there are also kung fu that people work on. And there's one form that is called, I think it's Wing Chun, where it's kind of like all hands. And then there's another form of kung fu, which is more for the people from the north. And it's more kicks and stuff because the people from the north tend to be taller than the people from the south. Interesting, isn't it? That you can go from, in one region of the world, you can go from one place to the other and find a place where generally they're taller. So here, my friends, my Christian friends who are not listening, who are probably not paying attention. Let's start with a group of giraffes. They're not giraffes, they're just horses. They're just horses right now. And you've got two groups of horses, the same horse, one group of horses. All right, something happens, lightning storm, whatever, and the groups get split up. And this group of horses goes over here, and this group stays in the environment they're in. Now, the first group that goes over here, they go to a place where the trees are taller. So the only ones that can reach the food are the ones that are taller. So the only ones that would survive really are the taller ones. So that they would actually, on average, become taller. And that's kind of how you could actually come up with a zebra, or not a zebra, but a giraffe kind of creature, because they had to evolve the longer necks in order to reach the food up at the top of the trees, sort of thing. But these over here didn't have to do that because the food was always on the ground. So you have modern creatures and creatures that changed over time. And that you can see that in man. Yeah, all over the world. You can see that in the evolution of man. If you want to. Nantucket. God was created by man. That's an interesting thing. One of the things I really do enjoy by the Christians is when they come in with their special pleading and they're like, well, what started the universe? The universe couldn't have come from nothing, but they're God creature. Where has it always been here? It's outside the universe, so it doesn't exist, is what you're saying. Interesting. Wendy Kirkland, I know you don't believe. I'm just thinking about how the universe begins. If it comes from a singularity, and if it comes from a singularity, where did that singularity come from? God made it, obviously. That's fucking stupid. Obviously, God made the singularity. Jesus Christ, people. What's wrong with you? But what created God? If the singularity must have something that started it, what started God? Now, here's the deal. This is Kelly. I wish Kelly Laughlin, I don't know if Kelly's still in the chat. There is a scientific quantum theory that deals with things happening, reaction before action, where our universe literally could have started itself and caused its own Big Bang. But where does God? A lot of the things is the theists will argue that, well, just like a watch didn't pop fully into existence, it had to be made. Well, man had to be made. Well, actually, no. That's why we have all these vestigial organs, because some shit didn't work. That's evolution. Billions of years of trial and error, losing our tail because we didn't need to hang from trees anymore, whatever business, right? That's why we have these things. It's less than obviously perfect. Right. But still, why do we have things like vestigial tails if your God creature blinked us into existence just a few thousand years ago? Fascinating. Paul says he's outside of space-time. Says you? That makes it real because you say so, Paul? Let me ask you this, though, Paul. In God, in your God's world, in its own, does it have its own plane of existence or no? Does it not exist at all, or does it have a place where it exists? Does your God creature, if it lives outside of our space-time, it has to have a time frame of its own? Yes or no? To where, like, we're going to use the term days, but we know that this God creature doesn't have days. But just so you and I know time thing, okay? God had a yesterday before it decided to create the universe. Last night at midnight, God decided to create the universe. Today at about 7 o'clock in the morning, God decided to create man. Tomorrow-ish in God's world, he's going to destroy the universe. Okay? God has to have a time frame of his own. If he doesn't, he just doesn't fucking exist. If it has a time frame of its own to where it decided one day, you know what, I'm not going to, tomorrow I'm going to create a universe, then it's got a time frame of its own. Where did it come from in its own time frame? Did it just magically appear in its own universe? Did it just magically appear fully formed? So humans, the earth and animals and all this couldn't evolve into the complex creatures we are. We couldn't. Even though we have all the evidence that shows that we did, we couldn't. Yet your God creature can blink into existence, fully formed, all-powerful, almighty, all-knowing. Really? Believing in God is like believing in Santa Claus. Hi, Richard. Hashtag truth. Yes, Santa Claus. However, one of the things that Jesus says, like Santa Claus, he just merely refuses to give you gifts. That's all. You might get coal, something you technically back in the 1800s, whenever all this really started, late 1800s, early 1900s, coal was probably actually worth something to a kid. You could burn it. I mean, it's not the greatest thing, but it's better than nothing. But the God creature is going to burn you in a pit of fire for eternity, gnashing of teeth, however you want to see it, whether it's a denial of existence of God, out of his space, either way, even if it's just that, the Christians make it sound like it's horrific. For eternity, that's your God creature. That's their God creature, right? So, merciful, loving. Let's see. Read this right here. Yeah. So this whole notion that your God, hi John. I hope I hope you had a good weekend. This whole notion that your God creature could just pop into existence in its own time frame, because it has to have some sort of time frame, does it not? Or did it instantly pop into existence in its own universe at the same time it created our universe? Or does it have a before and an after? Does your God creature function solely to create this universe? Or is it something beyond this? Where the universe, our universe is like a project sitting in your God creature's office that he created, and he goes in there and checks in on us every now and smites people and shit, right? But there had to be like a day before when he had the office and there was nobody in there, and he decided, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to put a universe in that office. And if he has a time frame of his own, it has to have a beginning, right? Doesn't it? And this notion, I really think this notion that everything has to have a beginning except God. I just think that's just special pleading. God would be outside time. God doesn't have a time frame of its own, though. That's the question. Juiced, were you not hearing? God exists outside of time, but God doesn't have a before and after of its own at all. Is that what you're saying? No before and after in its own universe. It never had a before it decided to create the universe. Is that what you're telling me? Your God creature came into existence with the universe. Or in its world, did it have whatever world plane of existence, whatever plane of heaven, wherever that's at, did it have a yesterday? And a day before that? Will it have a tomorrow? If it has any of those things like we have in our universe, then it has its own fucking time frame. And if it does, it has to have a beginning, right? And you really, when we look at like the cosmic microwave background and stuff, we kind of goes, oh, look, this kind of looks like this. What? But the God creature created everything? Really? You just want to take credit for the Big Bang. And then like it waited 16 billion years on its hands, doing nothing apparently, but just running around creating universes, shitting out galaxies. And then it decided to create man and talk to people in the ancient desert and tell them it loved you now. Does any of that make sense? Where does any of that make sense? Why does any of that make sense? That the universe popped into existence and that it is its own thing, whether I like that thing where we're in a black hole. Our entire universe is in a black hole. That's fucking awesome. It is awesome because our black hole could be minuscule in the other universe that it's in, even though it looks infinite to us. It's not really. It's actually inside a black hole. in another universe, in another galaxy, probably the heart of another galaxy in another universe. Isn't that cool? I think that's cool. You got the cosmic, the what do you call it? Quantum foam. Anywhere where there's like no, you get nothing, cosmic foam, where this just energy bubbles into the universe from seemingly nowhere. And then when we look at black holes, and whenever they get material put into them, whenever material goes, it gets completely destroyed. Like, you don't fall into a black hole. You become turned into every smallest, tiniest little particle of you and then shoved into the black hole. Kind of like quantum foam, right? Interesting. Wouldn't that be cool? Anyway, but the notion that this God creature created all this stuff and loves you, isn't that fascinating? Wants a personal relationship with you. But if you don't give me 10% of your money, it's not going to want a personal relationship with you. And it can't make its own money. We're talking about trillions of galaxies. And yet your God creature can't even make its own money for its churches. Isn't that weird? Hey, ooh, goodness. Hey, Sandy Hardy, thank you for saying that. Sandy says, the Bible clearly states that you won't understand it if you don't trust him. Faith is not proof. Faith is ignorance. Faith is intentional ignorance. Here's the deal, Sandy, listen to my words. The deal is that it's so fucking ridiculous, you wouldn't believe it without faith. That's why they tell you to have faith. Listen to what I just said. It's so ridiculous, you wouldn't believe it. So you have to have faith. That's how ridiculous it is. Faith is not a power. It's a weakness. It's a weakness of your character and mind. If you're going to believe in something that's ridiculous, that you know couldn't be true, only because you're told to do so on faith, because by doing so makes that imaginary creature, your level of faith, makes it love you even more, that's exactly what people would tell you. Now, also, here's another thing. Listen, somebody wants you to believe something that's just crap. I'm gonna try not to use ugly little words because I don't want you to run away. They want you to believe this stuff is just nonsense, right? Just nonsense. So they tell you to have faith. And then they tell you, here's the deal though, they tell you that, listen, I know this sounds really weird, really stupid, okay? Listen to me, Sandy, listen. The people they're going, listen, I know this sounds really weird. Yes, it is, right? It's just stupid. But it sounds, so listen, I'm trying to get you to believe this because I'm the religious leader. I want you to believe this. But listen. People outside, they're going to think, they're going to see it's ridiculous, and they're going to try to show you how ridiculous it is. So just know they are fools because they can't understand the word of God. So they're the fools, not you. And that's exactly what they would program you with. Yeah. If they wanted you to believe something stupid and ridiculous, they would tell you those who didn't understand it were fools. Doesn't that make sense? You're trapped in a religion. You are the fool. You are trapped. You have been convinced. Let me see. Some things going on. I've learned that whenever my Discord goes off, I try to check it out and see what's going on. Oh, I gotta see words here. It's just big. I'll have to check it out. Somebody sending me something. I don't know. Somebody sending me something. Let me see. Can I read it now? Oh, yeah. I see. I think I get it now. I've got this thing where I don't know what to do about it. But I got some very timeout happy moderators. I do. Not all of them, obviously. Love you all, but I don't know. I'll have to look at it and see what's going on. Warehouse DM. I've never been a house cat. I've never seen a house cat give birth to a mountain lion. You wouldn't. Why would you see a house cat give birth to a mountain lion? You wouldn't. That's just stupid. However, if you took house cats and you put them in an environment and had it to where there was ample food over a long stretch of time, million years or so, they probably would become larger, wouldn't they? I mean, we actually have evidence of this. We used to have eagles that were huge eagles. How big were those huge eagles? Largest eagles that ever lived. The deal is one kind doesn't, one type of animal like a horse doesn't shit out a goat, okay? You're not going to have a chimpanzee shit out a human. If that's what you've been taught, you've been lied to. They've lied to you and they told you that, but we don't believe that. Evolution does not say that's what happened. You have been lied to. And now you're propagating the lie. Evolution doesn't say that. Evolution says that if you're going to get from a house cat to a lion, it's going to take environmental changes over millions of years. That's what we learn. That's what we know. Now, we can have some like short-term evolutionary changes. Go look at the story of the little birds, where there's these birds, they started on one side of a huge lake, and they migrated around the lake, and their bodies changed so much because of the different environments around the lake. By the time the bird species got around to the other side of the lake, they couldn't interbreed. You should go look things up. This whole notion that you really don't think that's what we teach. That's what we think. Nobody thinks like that. The only people who claim that shit like that happens is you Christians who are trying to straw man science and straw man evolution into some wild, crazy bullshit. You really should be embarrassed, just stupid fucking embarrassed to say that shit out loud. To come along and say that humans came from dirt. You have evidence that humans came from dirt. Can you give me evidence? I mean, we have evidence of evolution. We really do. If you don't want to admit it, we do. That's your fucking problem. We've got billions of pieces of fucking evidence, whether it's fossils, whether it's live examples in our world right now. It doesn't matter. We've got all this evidence. Where's your evidence for your God creature just banging man into existence? Blink. You should be able to provide me with core examples, skeleton examples where there are no fossils, and then boom, fossils, perfectly formed man without a tailbone, because he doesn't need a tailbone, does he? Where is your proof, Warehouse DM? Where's your proof? I have proof. You just don't want to admit it. Now, my proof is a little different than your proof, because we both have proof that you don't want to admit. My proof is like literal physical evidence. Your proof is like, God said so. It says so in the Bible, so therefore, man popped into existence. I don't need strata. I don't need levels of rock. I don't need bones to... No, I don't need this. My God just magically made it all pop into existence. Sometimes I read the chat tinfoil hat, but sometimes I don't. Can you give me an example of something you have faith in that is not God? There are more than a few things. If you're going to go with the whole, I have faith in science, if that's what you want to call it, yeah, sure, fine. Yeah, see, my science, tinfoil, my science tells me things. It teaches me things, and over time I rely on those things. I get on an airplane because I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay. We got so much science that backs up that we're going to be okay. Not all of them are okay. Sometimes bad things happen. But on the whole, right, because science does indeed work. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I don't want to lose that sentence. Russell Norton's going to pray for me. Lucky you. Son of a bitch. I lost it. It moved. I wanted to finish that. Son of a bitch. The chat moves very fast. Evolution says people come from dirt. That's what religion says, isn't it? Isn't that what your religion says, Juiced? Man came from dirt. What are the odds everything evolved for real? I don't see. You're not trying, Wendy. You're just not fucking trying. What are the odds that everything just magically popped into existence with no evidence and no proof? You're not looking at the science. Go watch Forrest Valkai talk about evolution. Go watch a real scientist explain evolution. The whole, this monkey turned into human shit is just ignorant. It's fucking ignorant. You're ignorant if you think that's what happened. And nobody has told you, and that's part of the problem. You need to go look. There's plenty of evidence. This whole deal again about not you guys. Oh, there it was. Tinfoil hat wearer. There you go. Faith. Let's see, where did it go? Son of a bitch. Okay. I'm not arguing against science or God. I have no horse in either game. But when something calls others dumb for having faith, it's weird. No, that's the whole deal, man. The whole deal is it's something stupid and ridiculous, and you wouldn't believe it. That's why they came up with faith, right? Faith is a virtue. Faith being a virtue is something that somebody is trying to sell you something that's ridiculous, wants you to believe that faith is a virtue. Of course they want you to believe that. They don't want you to go, oh, fuck, that doesn't make sense, and question it. But what happens when you do? What happens, Christians, when the faith isn't enough? Whenever you're sitting there going, man, this is fucking stupid. God gave himself, he raped a 12-year-old girl, got her pregnant so he could kill his own son in a sickening child sacrifice to absolve me of my sins? How the fuck does that work? Well, you got to have faith, right? You got to have faith. But if you don't have enough faith, then we have hell. Then we have fear. So if you don't have enough faith, remember, you're going to burn in hell if you don't believe. So you either have faith to try to convince you to believe stupid shit you would never believe because it's stupid. But if you don't believe, we've got hell to threaten you with, to drive you towards our religion. I can't imagine how many people have come in here and gone, I pray for you. You'll be sorry at the end. Why would I be sorry? Why are you going to pray for me? Why is Jesus, he's our savior? What is he saving us from? If your God is love and mercy and peace, what is he saving us from? He's saving us from your God creature, isn't he? Am I wrong? No. It's the wrath of God. That's it, the wrath of God. I just came up with a new saying, the wrath. No, that's not new, is it? Interesting. I am all done, my friends. I'm going to go check out some stuff and see what's going on. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you had a great weekend. The evil one is off today, and we're gonna trim our dog's hairs. Not all of them. Oh my goodness, not all, but the ones that really need it. So I love you all. I think you're all wonderful. I hope you sin safely, and we will see you tomorrow. I need to read the super chats. Sorry. Miko gave away 5 of our memberships. Thank you, Miko. And then Henry kicked in the door and said, "Keep pounding, brother. Tax the billionaires." Thank you for the super chats, guys. I appreciate you. Sin safely, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat-scented thrills for your soul's delight. Light it up, baby, make your room right. When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Confession booths, busy, no need to stress. Light a candle and forget your mess. Gross odors vanish like sins in the wind. With each wick, guess who's your new best friend? When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Lambs and calves may have their day, but goat's the scent that leads the way. Clean your slate with a sniff so pure. Father Flanagan's got the cure. Turn your home into a saintly space. With every whiff, find redeeming grace.